Right now on Upfront.
A pivotal week.
We're going to do our negotiations behind a curtain.
The race for governor, new comments from Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez, the swift pushback from fellow candidates.
These are public dollars, and I believe in full transparency when it comes to budgeting.
Plus protests, new endorsements, and Republicans looking to November.
We got our butts kicked last night, right?
This Sunday, our exclusives, the candidates for governor, Democrat Francesca and Republican Tom Tiffany.
Then, battle for Congress.
My residents are concerned about prioritization.
Milwaukee Alderman Peter Bergelis here with a big announcement. 6 months from the midterms, the new candidate entering the race in Wisconsin's 1st congressional district, looking to take on Congressman Brian Stile. The announcement here, just moments away.
This is Upfront with Jaron Jordan and political director Matt Smith.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. A pivotal and busy week in the race for governor. New endorsements, protests, fallout from the campaign trail, comments. We'll get to it all.
On the campaign trail, Mandela Barnes joining the Milwaukee Teachers Union, protesting proposed cuts and delayed raises to address a $46 million budget shortfall. MPS Superintendent Brenda Cassellius on Upfront defending the plan just last week.
Then the comments from Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez, audio we first obtained, meeting with Democrats in Janesville, saying if elected, she'd craft the next state budget with Democratic leaders behind a curtain.
I will say that I have committed to having a budget done before I swear it. And we are going to do this. We are going to do our negotiations behind a curtain so that we are not doing a circular firing squad within the Democratic Party, because we have got to make a difference in people's lives. We have got to be on the same page.
The comments drawing immediate pushback from fellow Democratic candidates, even the governor's office. Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley saying this sounds like hiding from the people. State Senator Kelda Roy is a member of the State Budget Committee saying backroom deals are not the way to deliver progress for Wisconsinites. And Joel Brennan writing, you don't get a good budget by hiding it from the people it's supposed to serve. The Rodriguez campaign said she was referring to the process of bringing lawmakers and stakeholders together during the transition to build consensus. We invited the Lieutenant Governor on the show this week. Her campaign declined, saying she was unfortunately busy traveling for events.
With that, let's bring in State Representative Franchesca on the campaign trail, the Democratic frontrunner in the most recent Marquette Law School poll. Representative, welcome back to Upfront.
Thanks so much for having me back.
First, I want to get your reaction to what Sarah Rodriguez said and her approach to the state budget.
We firmly believe in an inclusive democracy and a transparent process. I think a budget is a moral document, and it should reflect the priorities of Wisconsinites all across the state. And our administration plans to bring in as many voices as we can into that process.
On Friday, Congressman Tom Tiffany, who was on the show here in just moments, posted a tweet of yours from 2020 that read, City of Madison, and then defund police 4 times before craft 2021 budget. Is that still your position, to defund police?
I think we have to make investments in what would help prevent crime, investments in communities, our public schools, community centers, public libraries. And I think that when there are limited resources, we have to look at where we can make cuts as well as where we can make investments.
Congressman Tiffany said that your main priorities before even getting to the budget would be to defund the police. Was that your position then, and is that your position now?
My position is to ensure that our local municipalities have the resources that they need to craft the budgets that they know meet their communities' needs. Our shared revenue formula is deeply inequitable, and I'm committed to ensuring that all of our local municipalities have the state resources they need to help their communities thrive.
Bring us inside a little bit. What would your budgeting process look like as governor?
Well, it's important to tour the state, just like I've been doing for the last 5 years and on the road now, and bring in key stakeholders, some whose voices may not always reflected in the budget process. I think it's important as well to make sure that there are liaisons and ambassadors to the governor's office to make sure that we're making this as inclusive as a process as we can.
I want to talk about the overall state of the race where we are right now. How would you assess the current state of the Democratic primary?
We have a robust primary. Spirited primary is good for democracy. Our campaign is focused on reaching as many voters as we can and making sure that our campaign is accessible. That means we have to be at the dive bars. That means we're campaigning sometimes at bowling alleys, making sure folks see the working class champion wanting to champion for working class people.
Are you or Mandela Barnes the front runner in the race at this moment?
Right now, we are encouraged by the Marquette Law polls. However, no complacency from us. We're hustling. We're making sure that our message on permanent affordability is resonating with Wisconsinites of all different lived experiences who want a more fair and democratic economy.
Yeah, on that, why do you think that your message as a Democratic Socialist is resonating with voters across the state?
People are fed up and tired with corruption, with cheating, and with the wealthiest few getting more while working class people are getting less. Wisconsinites work hard. We show up for our neighbors. We care about one another. And we each deserve a government where we are able to take care of ourselves and our loved ones. Right now, things aren't fair. Things feel rigged, and they are for the wealthiest and the most privileged. And so we want fairness for working Wisconsinites all across our state.
I want to ask about some of the endorsements already in this race this week. Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar endorsed you. Do you have any hesitation accepting that endorsement?
Congressman Ilhan Omar is an exemplary leader with moral courage and political integrity who shows up fiercely for her constituents. I think that having her endorsement is an honor and shows that we have growing momentum both here in the state. We have national endorsements who are encouraged by what a future Wisconsin looks like with a Hong administration.
Yeah, it's an endorsement that may excite your base, but how will it help you win over more moderate Democrats or even independents?
Our base already includes some independents and some Republicans. I think it's important that we have an inclusive and welcoming campaign that is focused on delivering for working class people. And whether that's repainting the lines on the road, ensuring we're fully funding our public schools, making sure that our farmers have support. It's important that I think it's important to recognize that our message is reaching voters across the political spectrum and across zip codes. And that's why we have this great momentum that's helping us make sure that we're still hustling to reach voters we haven't reached yet.
State Representative Franchesca Hong, a Democratic candidate for Wisconsin governor. Thanks so much for your time from the campaign trail. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Congressman Tom Tiffany is the leading Republican candidate in the race. He joins us now. Congressman, welcome back to the show. It's good to see you.
It's good to join you, Matt.
I know you've commented on the Sarah Rodriguez comments from this past week, talking about her approach to the state budget. I'm curious from the Republican perspective, though, is that any different than the state legislature, for example, privately meeting to draft laws, whether it be Act 10 or Right to Work or Lame Duck? You voted for changes to the open records law 10 years ago. Is this anything different? We're talking about lawmakers when they talk about doing stuff privately?
Well, I think it's a very clear indication that, in this case, the candidate, Rodriguez, said, we're going to do this behind the curtain. She's already announcing that the public's not going to be able to see this. Remember, I served on the Joint Finance Committee, helped write 3 budgets back when I was in the legislature, and we had listening sessions across the state. We always had an open process. And you do allude to that one vote in regards to where there was some stifling of the open records, and we corrected that mistake. And I admit it, that was a mistake to vote that way, but we corrected that mistake and made sure it didn't happen again.
So you wouldn't look to impose those type of restrictions again on the state's
No,
open
we're
record
going
laws?
to. People can count on transparency from Tom Tiffany and accountability to the voters.
Broadly speaking, what would your budget process look like as governor?
We're going to bring in some of the best people to help do the budget. I think we should do a budget that goes back to the basics, and let's make sure that we're funding the things that are important. But one of the things that I will certainly do is we're going to audit all state agencies. We saw what has happened over in Minnesota, $9 billion of industrial grade fraud over there. We've got to make sure that isn't happening here in Wisconsin, because we know that it is happening to a certain extent. We need to root it out, protect taxpayers.
When you say back to the basics, do you mean base budgeting?
Yeah, we should go back and have simply base budgeting. Let's make sure that we're funding the things that the taxpayers think are important.
Let's talk about the state of the race as we look ahead to November. There's a Democratic primary obviously going on that side. When you saw Maria Lazar losing by 20 points in the state Supreme Court race, was that a 5-alarm fire for you?
Two different elections. I mean, every election is unique. You look back to the victory that we had in 2024 as Republicans. I believe we lost the spring election for a Supreme Court race. So every election is unique. And the big thing that happened there was a very low turnout. There's going to be high turnout in this election, and high turnout now benefits us as Republicans.
WisPolitics, our editorial partner, reported this past week the state GOP is now requiring members to sign non-disclosure agreements. The exec committee met last week after the spring election. Do you have full confidence in Brian Schimming? Should he remain the state party chair through your election?
I think the executive committee made that decision in the last week that they're going to keep having Brian Schimming as the chair. I've always worked well with Brian, so I don't have a problem with that. We're building our own campaign, and I'm not concerned about others, whether it's the state party or other campaigns. We are at the top of the ballot in this election. We are going to bring the leadership necessary to win this election for Republicans.
So as the Republican at the top of the ticket, you are fine with Brian Schimming remaining in his post?
Yeah, that's fine. I always believe that the party rank and file should make those decisions. They made that decision, and we're going to work with whoever's there.
What if Tommy Thompson runs? He apparently hasn't ruled it out yet.
You know, Tommy, going all the way back to 1986, he was a great governor here in the state of Wisconsin and did a fine job as governor. I've never been focused who's running, whether it's Republican or Democrat. Whoever wants to get in. We're focused on what we can control. And you look at the things that we've been doing, building a really good campaign, money, messaging, manpower. We're going to cover this state with volunteers, knocking on doors. Our message is sharp, making sure that we deliver that clear contrast, and we are going to compete on the money side of this also.
Putting on your congressional hat and candidate hat ahead of the midterms, there's a lot of people talking about the SAVE Act, whether they love it or hate it, they want it or don't want it. The president has pushed adding a ban on mail-in voting to whatever comes out of Congress. Would you vote for that if a ban on mail-in voting was included?
So there's a difference between absentee voting, which we have here in Wisconsin, which I support, and I voted that way. But some states just have all mail-in voting, and they mail every single voter. And we've seen those, that there's been some real problems at times, including states like California. They don't count their ballots until sometimes 2 or 3 weeks after an election. You don't know what the results are. So I think the mail-in voting is, it would be appropriate to have some safeguards around it.
More in Wisconsin than currently are in place?
I think Wisconsin's is pretty good, but I mean, there were some election reforms that were put forward by the legislature a couple sessions ago that Governor Evers vetoed. I would sign some of those. I mean, look at the referendums that we've had here in the state of Wisconsin in regards to ballot integrity, including like getting rid of Zuckerbucks. And the people of the state of Wisconsin said, we want to have election integrity. I will bring that to the state of Wisconsin. I'll sign those bills that have election integrity included in them.
Republican candidate for governor, Congressman Tom Tiffany. Congressman, like always, we really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Great to join you, Matt.
Coming up, a new challenger in Wisconsin's 1st congressional district looking to take on Congressman Brian Stile. Milwaukee Alderman Peter Regelis is standing by with his announcement next.